Hello, friends. 888 days of war between Russia and Ukraine. In southern war zone on Kherson front, Russian army's offensive operation is continuing to have full control over left bank of Dnieper River, as Ukrainians still have few bridgeheads across the Dnieper River on Russian sides. On Zaporizhia front, no significant changes. Russian and Ukrainians are engaged in heavy artillery exchanges along Gulyai Pol, Malatok-Machka line and also towards Orikho sector as well as Rimivka salient. In east, on Marinka front, Russian army expanded control zone towards Ikraya beam towards T0524 highway, that is Ugledar Marinka side. As far as Krasnohorivka and in the west Paraskovivka, Konstantinivka are concerned, counterattacks from both the sides are on. Avdiivka front, Russians are consolidating their positions towards Pokrovsk after gaining grounds and also towards Novoselivka first and Volcha. Russians have in the meantime advanced west of Progress and Vovicha up to Vesely and southern outskirts of Zelina and in northwest of these agglomerations towards Ivanivka. In north of Timofeyevka, they gained almost 600 meters inside on a front of 700 meters. Toretsk, Russians advanced towards New York, Zalizne, Pivdene and Druzhba. Bakhmut Chasivyar, north of Chasivyar, that is towards Kalinovka direction, Russians advance more in the west of Sivers'k Donetsk Donbass water canal and assaulted Oktyabrinsky micro districts and made a bridgehead in eastern outskirts after gaining 250 meters. North of Solidar, that is Siversk sector, Russians made good gains towards southern Ivano-Darivka and in Spornoy area, almost gaining 1.1 kilometer on a wide front of 4.4 kilometer. North of Rozdolovka, Russians again advanced along forest belts towards Peresnoe, almost 2 kilometers. Northeast Ukraine, Serebryansky Forestry, Liman Kremina direction, no significant changes, while towards Kupian-Swatovo, Russians expanded their control zone in west and north of Peshane, which is under its control. Fight is also on in Stelmakhivka and Makiivka areas. North Kharkiv, that is Slobozansky directions, Russians have taken over eastern outskirts of aggregate plant in Volchans. Ukrainians in the meantime continuously carrying out counterattacks with reserves and armors towards right bank of Volchaya river and Staritsia area. Also, they are continuing counterattacks in Glaibok direction. On all around the war fronts or war zones, this is the area where Russians' initiative seems to be lost. Interdiction missions, Ukrainians launched dozens of drones over Kursk, Belgorod, Volgograd, Leningrad, Oryal areas. Also used missiles over Kursk, while Russians are hitting Ukrainian targets in many places, and they have also used UPAB 1500 kg bombs in DPR and other regions. That includes Volchansk also. Palestine Israel Middle East in North Gaza, usual clashes continuing. In Central Gaza, IDF announced its offensive operation again after a break of almost 2 weeks in Al Burezi, as Hamas activities seems to have risen and asked civilians to evacuate the area where they are continuing airstrikes and artillery shells as well. In south, IDF is continuing its operation in east of Khan Yunis. West Bank, Israeli security detained 15 Palestinians so far, almost 9,000. Lebanon border, counter shelling continuing, but the so called Israeli offensive ground attack hasn't started and unlikely as per me in the near future. In Africa, especially, situation in Mali as well as in Sudan is pretty volatile. UK has dropped out of top 10 manufacturing nations for first time from 8 to 12 as industrial productions have gone even below those of Russians, and this is going to help Labour Party as far as anti people economic measures are concerned. And that's all. Thank you.